Thank you for tuning into the All Funds Network podcast. My name is Mike Schroeder. Today we're here with my co-host Skyler Steinke, and we're also joined by Parker Poor. Parker is a seasoned member of the INFStones leadership team, an active angel investor, and a dedicated advocate for giving back to the community. Parker, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you very much, Mike, for having me, and I can't be more excited to do this with you guys. It's been something I've been looking forward to for a while now.
Yeah, great. Excellent.
Likewise, man. Glad we were able to get it on the books. Let's talk about your background. So, how'd you even get into crypto to begin with?
That's a great question. Originally, I started off at Intuit, the software company, SaaS sales and tech, and Intuit has some of the fastest growing software in the industry. Rode that wave for a good amount of time until there was an acquisition, and then got into actually the cross-border payments. And cross-border payments works really well with the crypto industry. They are complementary of each other, and our focus was Latin America. And what I saw in Latin America were some of the issues that they had in regards to bank accounts, money transfers, and just access to the funds. And although we don't think about it in the United States and most first world countries, they experience that every day. And I was fortunate enough to get that company acquired. And our current CEO, Dr. Shea, asked, would I like to join InfStones and help scale that company? And I couldn't be more excited because I had been in crypto since 2017 and I wanted to join it on a professional level. So I joined InfStones right before we raised our Series B and never looked back, and very, very blessed that I had the opportunity to join the team because infrastructure stands right at the middle of our industry.
Yeah, that's really cool. By the way, what's the origin of the name InfStones, by the way? What's the backstory?
It was originally Infinity Stones. And I'm sure if you're a movie buff, if you pull the stones together, ultimate power. But unfortunately, we got a letter from Hollywood saying we could not use that name anymore. So we abbreviated it to INF.
Marvel.
And that's a question I get quite often because they want to call us Infinity Stone. So we just condensed it a little bit.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's the origin name.
Amazing.
Yep.
Okay, cool. We're gonna be getting into InfStones. We're gonna be getting into staking, institutional adoption. Before we jump into it too, I also want to talk about just like your angel investing side of things. Kind of, tell us about what you're working on that. It's obviously more of like personal note, but yeah, curious to hear about.
Oh, absolutely. I really believe if you strongly have a passion for this industry, you can invest in Ethereum, you can invest in Solana, Bitcoin, maybe some of those altcoins that we all love to talk about, like Bonk. But you can be an angel investor and invest a small amount of money, whether it's 5, 10, $15,000, $20,000. You can be part of these projects that are launching. And if you're passionate, I think you should do that because that, brings out a whole different objective and a whole different reality to this industry. So I was fortunate to have some mentors who asked me to get involved in some early seed rounds, and I jumped at the opportunity. These are mentors from anywhere from Dragonfly or PearFi or some of the other companies out there. And the most recent one that I was involved in is Inversion Cap by Santiago Santos, who's well known in the industry. He works closely with the Blockworks and Empire crew. And I can't be more humbled to be a part of it. And what they're doing is taking Web2 companies and putting them on crypto rails and then, decreasing the EBITDA and really meeting the customer where they're at instead of us saying,
yeah. So are you typically are you kind of investing more in like equities, or are you buying a lot of these like early stage like tokens?
It would be early stage seed rounds. So I like the tokens. That's something that I really enjoy. But this one in particular was equity.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So
very cool.
Yeah. It's one of those things you think about. All those Web2 companies quite haven't jumped over to the Web3 side. We're going to make it easier for them to do that.
I love that. Is there anything like, obviously that's pretty cool, right? But any interesting nuances in the current market with different projects right now that you're looking at? You don't have to say any names or anything, but just in general.
Yeah, the one I like to use as an example is Helium and Helios. If you follow them closely, that's something, especially in Latin America, that makes sense. And when you acquire a company like that, you also get their customer base and user base. And those user base can be anywhere from 10 to 30 million active users. So imagine if you can convert those users onto crypto rails. That's a lot of active
Oh, yeah.
users. And that's one way to grow our industry to 1 billion users. And I think we're all here for the same reason, to grow this industry to 1 billion users and more. So for me, I get very, very excited about that. And it keeps me getting up early in the morning and doing this every day. Because crypto is 24/7, 7 days a week, unlike TradFi that has 2 days
That's
off.
right. That's great. Very cool.
Never sleeps.
Yep, never sleeps.
Cool. Let's get into InfStone. So tell us a little bit about it. So would maybe just start from the top. Kind of what are you guys doing at a high level?
Yeah. So at a high level, we are a Web3 infrastructure platform providing staking, node management, and API services. So staking is something when people hear there's proof of work and there's proof of stake, we focus on the proof of stake side, which is Ethereum and Solana. And I think you guys know most of these. And really what it is if you're investing on the proof of stake side, you're investing into that ecosystem and you share in those rewards. No staking rewards can be anywhere from about 2.5% all the way up to 12%. And what we found early on at InfinityStones is Binance was our first customer. So as they scaled, we scaled with them. And they would come to us early on, 2018, 2019, and say, there's 6 protocols we want to go live with in 2 weeks, make it happen. And what I love about our CEO and founder is he would never say no. It would be, let's do it. And there was never an option we couldn't do it. So we were able to launch new protocols in little of a week and a half.
Wow.
And that's the whole maintenance, infrastructure, that's the full reporting, the insurance, that's the whole side of it. And that is where we started early on. And most of our growth early on came organically. So Binance, OKX, as they scaled, we scaled with them. And it's been very, very fortunate and a blessing to work with them. We now support over 100 different protocols and 250 different institutional businesses and companies, banks, exchanges, all the way to the retail player who wants to stake Ethereum to Atom. We work with it all, but we definitely stay within our swim lane. We only focus on staking and validators and APIs. We do not want to get onto the custody side because we know what we're good at. And that's what we want to focus on.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's smart move there. From a question, Parker, from the current landscape of staking, what's the most misunderstood aspect of staking infrastructure at the institutional level that people think about? And how does InfStones change that paradigm?
Great question. I'm glad you asked it. Is on the institutional level, there's still some of the institutional businesses out there who think, what's the return? Is the return high enough? Isn't it risky? I don't understand it. Can you explain it to me? Now that we have a administration that's a little bit more friendly, and that we had the Clarity Act and we had the market structure bill, a lot of this has kind of taken away those hurdles, and now they're free to ask these questions. They're free to launch, whether it's stable coins that are now pegged 1-to-1, that quite frankly are a little bit more secure than, if you put your money in a normal bank account that's only insured up to $250,000. So the staking really is an opportunity that all of a sudden in the last 6 months, people start understanding a little bit more and a little bit better at a higher level. And that's where we come in, where they ask us, can you come explain this to us? Can you share why the advantages of staking versus T-bills or towards other different financial tools and vehicles out there. So for us, we encourage these institutions to look underneath the hood and truly understand the KYCs, the SLAs, and understand where this vehicle or where this tool can be a good asset for their user base. So right now is a very, very hot time for infrastructure providers and staking. The one thing that's still a little probably confusing is LSTs. Those are still a little bit confusing. And
Could you explain what that is for those listening?
Liquid restaking. We've seen it before. We've seen a lot of products come out. It's something that we don't really focus on as much because we like to focus on conservative, safe, secure staking. But there are different avenues out there, and it's an exciting time. There's definitely products that want to continue to build out these different vehicles.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think that's something we can get into a little bit more, but tell us a little bit about like the landscape. Like what does it look like right now? Like, I got to imagine, we've been in crypto now for, I don't know, we're going on 50 Bitcoin's going on 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
Kind of, how has the landscape evolved over time? Kind of where's it stand today?
You know what? One of the things that I really like about the landscape today is it's still small enough that we're all working together. My favorite line, I think you've heard it before, is a rising tide lifts all ships. And what I find is there are things that here at InfStones we do really, really well, but we actually work with other infrastructure providers if they don't support a certain protocol. So we'll actually work with other providers and say, yeah, we'll support that, whether it's on a Solana validator or whether it's a BNB node. We'll support them. The user wins because they get a large APY and they get safe, secure staking. And then the other infrastructure partner wins because this is additional revenue without them having the additional maintenance or engineering costs. We win because we get additional revenue that we probably wouldn't get otherwise because it's their customer. So the landscape right now is absolutely amazing. When it comes to infrastructure partners, running Ethereum isn't too difficult. Running some of the other ones aren't too difficult. But at the institutional level, you got to make sure you have your SOC 1, your SOC 2, your KYCs, your SLAs. You got to really encourage them to look underneath the hood and say, if God forbid there is a slashing event, are we covered? Is there the insurance? Am I going to get my money back? Because crypto does have a little bit of a black eye with some of the things that's happened, 2022 and 2023. And we all know it, so we're not even going to bring up those names. But, the landscape right now is continuing to build and continuing to support TradFi as they join us together.
Yeah. And you brought up the slashing event, which I kind of want to get into. Let's tell us about some of the risks when it comes to staking an asset.
So one of the things I pride myself on, and I can't even take credit, it's the team in our office globally, is we're made up of a team of engineers, solution architects, and DevOps. 80% of our team is on the tech side. And the reason for that is the technology and the infrastructure can be extremely complicated. And I use BNB as an example. If something happens and there is a slashing event and the validator stops producing blocks, you can lose a massive amount of money in a very short period of time. So we have something called Safe Stake, which is 24/7 automated tool that will alert us right away if a block stops producing blocks.
Yeah. Could you explain kind of what that means, the block stop producing and the slashing event?
Yeah. So again, it's proof of stake. And if a block is going out there and earning rewards over and over and over, and it stops earning those rewards, it will actually be kicked out at a high level. And once it's kicked out, that's a slashing event. And you can lose your original investment plus all the rewards that you were going to get. And then if you wanted to get back in for it to start producing blocks, you have to go through this waiting period time. And each protocol is a little bit different. But we've seen slashing events. Unfortunately, we have never had, or fortunately, we've never had a slashing event, but we've seen other partners and companies have a slashing event, and they're cost them anywhere from 200,000 to millions. So that can really put an infrastructure partner out of business very quickly, especially if they're not notified and that block is, or that validator is offline for 12, 24, 36, 48 hours. We saw one the other day that was offline for 72 hours and no one had caught it. And that's still some of the things that I think the industry needs to do a little bit better.
Yeah. Could you dive into that just a little bit more? Just like the aspect of it, getting slashed, kind of, how exactly does that happen? And your whole principal is lost during this transaction?
It can be locked or lost. So at the high level, again, if the validator goes offline, so think of a computer. If the computer is offline, then it can't produce blocks. And if it's not producing blocks, then it's slashed. So what we do is we make sure we get notifications if for some reason it's not producing as many blocks as we think it should. We'll get a notification. So everything we do is automated. So we don't have to rely on an individual person or someone in the office. We can rely on these automated systems that we've put in place and custom built early on to make sure this doesn't happen. So it is something we pride ourselves on.
Yeah. Is there any other risk beyond slashing?
That's a great question. I think there's always risk because there's volatility. I mean, we've seen Solana go up to $241, and we've seen Solana drop down to $9. We've seen Bitcoin go pretty high, and then we've seen it drop pretty high or drop pretty low. So I think there's always risk, and I think that has to be discussed with the institution or the user. But when it comes to the infrastructure side, if they have those tools in place and they're running on servers that are globally based in areas where, there's secure and there's power and there's not usually any issues, there shouldn't be. But I will never say anything's 100%. And that's why we build Safe Stake.
That's great.
InfStones.
Yeah. On that point of just kind of that process, or I guess by what people are looking at in the space, is the appetite for direct staking exposure or staking as a service? What does that look like today versus the other? Are you seeing a lot of banks or family offices get in this space? I'm just curious.
Yeah, great question again. So what we've seen is probably in the last year, we've seen it pick up quite a bit. Most of the conversations that I'm having is with family offices, investment firms, institutions. They see on the news Coinbase, they see on the news Galaxy, Anchorage. They're seeing these things happen at a high level. Binance, CZ. They were talking about CZ the other day on the news and how he built this massive exchange. So there is that appetite on the institutional side, and on the retail side, they're always going to be the first ones to go after and want to get involved. And that's where I think players like Robinhood and Coinbase has done a very, very good job at acquiring the retail user. Here at InfStones, we also have a retail platform that we use. So if you want to directly stake Ethereum, even if you only have $100 of Ethereum, you can directly stake on our platform Ethereum and get your APY, which is pretty exciting. And I think it's very fun. We actually rolled out a college program. So if you're attending college and you're in the blockchain club or you're in the crypto club, you can actually use our platform.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. Yeah, that's exciting. I think that's a challenge too. I'd say, the folks trying to get into this space that are relatively new at university. Where do we start? So I think that's a great opportunity for them. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a fun opportunity. The thing that I think is a little bit exciting is my nephews and nieces who are in junior high. They don't want toys.
That's right.
They want crypto, and it blows my mind that you go from our parents' age who want to feel it, touch it, hold it. And if they can't do that, they don't want it, to now kids growing up want the digital assets. They want that digital money. And it's just, we're living in an exciting
it's kind of funny. My son actually has the same kind of thing. As he's in college now, but it was always like being a YouTuber, crypto, what's happening in crypto, all these interesting conversations that usually is not the case for our generation. So yeah, he's 19.
How old's your son?
Yeah. He asked me quite a bit.
Okay. So he's at the perfect time to jump on board and
so he's
really scale.
Make sure you stack no sats.
I encourage, there's quite a few good companies that are hiring interns. I encourage, we can share them in the links. Getting an education from some of these, Coinbase or Robinhood or us or Circle, BitGo, any of these, Binance, any of these firms are hiring interns. And even if they don't stay in crypto, the education they're going to get.
Yeah, I love that. That's really
amazing.
Cool. One kind of high level question as I think about this, and this has been, we talked about how long Bitcoin's been around, the markets. Everybody says, well, institutions have been coming. This is different. This market's different. What it truly is different from your point of view? Because you've been in it for a while, since 2017, you said. How is this market different from what we talked about, or, in the last, 5-10 years? And what are you most excited about, I guess, going forward?
Good question. So what we found is, we always like to say institutions were coming, but I think we were just kind of kidding ourselves until we had clear regulatory. Institutions weren't coming. Now that we're having clear regulatory and it's a global momentum, I think there's a little bit more excitement. I'm a little bit of a history buff, and I'm going to steal this from my friend Lorian over at Figment, who's also an infrastructure provider. Winston Churchill had a saying that America will always do what's right after it's tried everything else. And we have tried to stuffle crypto down and not let it breathe. And now we're letting it breathe. We're letting that creativeness happen, and we're putting regulatory rails in for it to blossom. So I get excited, and I think I mentioned this, Mike, about a month ago, is I get a call from one of the biggest hedge funds in New York. Hey, we want to, diversify and put a certain percentage of our assets into this protocol. Tell us about it. Teach us about it. Why should we do it? Come talk to us. I would have never got that call 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. The fact that there's a room of 56-year-olds who want to invest in crypto and digital assets, that's exciting. And those calls are happening more often. And that, to me, just shows that we are, instead of telling TradFi to come to us, we're going to them and we're presenting. So this is our opportunity. It is our opportunity to either win or fail. I had a rugby coach who used to tell me in college, he said, I'll never get mad at you for making a bad tackle. I'll get mad at you for not making a tackle at all. And I think that's where we are as an industry. It is our opportunity. Let's make sure we do it by the rules. Let's make sure we do it right. And let's help them every step of the way. If they want clarity, let's give it to them. If they want detail, let's give it to them. This is our time.
Yeah, that's great insight.
I really believe
that's awesome.
That.
Yeah. Tell us about the demand that's coming from institutions. Kind of what are you seeing on that front?
So right now we're seeing a big push on the stable coins. We're seeing a big push on the ETF. I think the ETF for BNB is probably going to get approved here shortly. You see massive investment firms like Van Eck diving full-heartedly into this. So with the clarity and stable coins, and they're being pegged 1-to-1, it makes sense. So as long as we're there to support them, Bitcoin, unfortunately, there's not really, it's digital gold. I would say, where Ethereum and smart contracts and be able to program on top of it openly is huge. It's, like Visa or MasterCard, but it's open. So the fact that we can do that, and it goes back to the original reason we got into this industry, is we want to be able to transfer digital assets freely and openly. And I think that's something where we kind of lost our way. And now we realized 28% on a credit card is absolutely crazy. Transferring money, Western Union or remnants,
Expensive.
you're spending $30 to send $7. I've spent some time and done some volunteer work in Ghana and different places in Africa. And the idea that they can do this from their mobile phone is mind blowing. And we take it for granted, I think, here in the United States, but in
Sure.
some of these other countries, it's something that they really value. And I've been told, and you're going to have to check my number, but I was told that crypto is the 12th least volatile asset in the world. And people were like, wait, no way, it's more volatile than that. Well, compared to the US dollar and maybe the pound and maybe the euro, it seems a little volatile, but compared to other currencies out there, pretty stable.
That's a great point.
With the institutions, come back to the institutions in the stable coins. Tell us about what's happening there. So, are these folks just like staking their stable coins? Are they getting yield on them?
Yeah, so that's the best part. Is at the end of the day, the institutions are going to sharpen their pencil and they're going to try to get the highest yield as possible. I try to stay away from talking about yield and APY. I like to make sure we're on the right side of the regulatory. So I like to talk a little bit more conservative and not overpromise. So I like to underpromise, overdeliver. And when I talk about this yield, it's much higher than leaving it in a savings account or T-bills or some of the other vehicles out there. And as we develop in this industry, it gets a little bit safer and safer. So we've seen companies like Galaxy, like Anchorage, who are institutional leaders in our space, lead this charge. And InfStones needs to be the infrastructure on the back end to help them run this. And we're happy to do it. So right now we're staying very busy, and we'll let those institutional players like the Anchorage and the Galaxies lead the charge. And we'll just raise our hand and say, hey, if you need the staking infrastructure, here we are. And instead of building it in-house, they have found it's a little bit better to outsource the experts like us, like a Figment, like a Block Demon, who are all US based. Very excited.
What are your thoughts? I mean, around the staking area of this crypto reserves, conversation that a lot of these companies are having right now. It's kind of crazy, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible because I will never guarantee staking yield or staking rewards. You cannot guarantee it. And sometimes the staking yield isn't as high as a lot of these institutions would like it. But the ability to hold an asset and generate rewards, and these assets have outperformed the S&P 500 and outperform other vehicles out there, it's a no-brainer for them. They might not want to jump in 100%, and I advise them not to. But if you would have held most digital assets over the last few years, you would have made a lot of money. It's just, this is not, let's hold Solana for 3 months, triple our money, and sell. These are not the assets for you. And I truly like to disclose that early on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With are you guys seeing are like the Treasury companies starting company guys for staking?
That's my favorite topic right now, actually. So we call them DATs, digital asset treasuries. That is a hot topic. It really started with MicroStrategy and Bitcoin. They were the leaders in the space. They did a fantastic job. And you look at how much Bitcoin they have accumulated and the returns that they've gotten, it made the industry pretty exciting. And then here came Sol Strategies, and Sol Strategies has done the similar playbook and has done very well at it. And now you're going to have BNB get approved here shortly. I still think there's a little bit more due diligence to do here. I still think sometimes that unless you really understand the vehicle and understand how it's managed and the NAV and the rates, you might be someone's exit liquidity. And I'd hate to see that happen. So, from an infrastructure side, we're happy to support them, but I still think that we need to do a little bit more due diligence before you invest tens of hundreds of millions of dollars in this DAT. The last 3 months, we've probably had half a dozen reported, raising anywhere from 200 million to 1.3 billion dollars. And I think this is something that may slide off the side. Asib over at Dragonfly has a great pod that he talks about the pros and cons and where it can be beneficial. But I think people do need to be careful.
Yeah, I'm assuming a lot of these companies are going to be staking. Yeah.
Yes, and that's where we're happy to raise our hand and say, yeah, you can use our infrastructure, and we'll actually partner with other infrastructure providers like a Blockdaemon or a Figment or a Kiln, because we want to encourage them to be decentralized. So there will be 2 or 3 of us working behind the scenes, providing the infrastructure to stake.
Makes sense.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. It's a hot it's a hot topic.
It is. I over the last couple weeks, it's all people want to talk about right now. It's really interesting to see. I mean, the MicroStrategy playbook worked out great. We'll see how these other companies do.
Yeah,
the market's changing, but we'll see. It's a really interesting space right now. Also, a lot of people are still looking at NAV, and I think that's the worst metric. A lot of people are, what about NAV? I think we can just throw that out the window. I think in terms of NAV, I think the NAV is the worst way to look at it. For those that are still looking at it that way, where it's more, if you think about Bitcoin right now, it's at whatever 120K. Hypothetically, if the NAV's at 1.0, if it was to go up to 200,000, the NAV's almost 200K or 2 to 1 right now. Where people are still looking at the NAV, and I don't know if there's some confusion there with people, but I think that's completely missing the boat.
Mike, I think you make a very good point there. I think again we're pushing the narrative, buy these assets, let's convert them over to the equity side. For the 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, you're gonna get 2.7 times NAV, or 3 times NAV, 4 times NAV, and it's a get rich quick. And I just think that's probably the wrong metric to look at it. You get involved with these DATs because you believe in that protocol, whether it's
you believe in that asset, yeah,
Ethereum or BNB. You're getting involved because you believe in the management team. You're believing on what they're building. There's some stuff we're doing behind the scenes with BNB that's exciting, but we're not basing our decisions on 2.7 NAV or 2.3 on NAV. So I think you're 100% there, Mike.
Yeah, it's we'll see how that space evolves. It's we'll definitely all be keeping an eye on it. Any other trends that are interesting that are happening in the staking space?
That's a good question. What we are seeing that unless there is high performance and the protocol is building something exciting or something that's unique, we're finding that some of these protocols people are gearing away from and focusing on the top 10, the top 20 market cap. And I think that's good for our industry because there were some bad players out there and there were some things done that, didn't reflect great on our industry. So I think there's a little bit more due diligence. There's a little bit more, hey, TradFi might not have everything right, but one of the things they do right is due diligence. And for these layer ones to launch and they have $200 million in funding, I don't know about that. So I think that's a good thing for our industry, and I like that. So I'm excited about that side of things. I'm excited that we will continue to raise up the good players out there, and the players that might not be doing everything like they should, they get weed out pretty quickly.
Yeah, how can I take my tokenized
Apple,
product and stake that, right? In the future state.
tokenized assets, that's where we go back to DeFi.
That's right.
DeFi is a hot topic. And on the infrastructure side, again, we focus on the staking and running validators. And tokenization is something that we've been approached multiple times to build out certain custom sides of this. And we're happy to do it. But we are going to focus on what we do best. And we're not going to deviate from that. But that is a very hot topic. So it keeps us busy.
Absolutely. Very cool.
What are your thoughts on tokenization and where we are today?
It's a great question. I think from what I'm seeing in the space, I see more in I'm dealing more in the fund space. So we're tokenizing funds, fund interests. And I think given the recent, regulatory, regime change in the U.S. is promising, because I think tokenization has been going strong in Asia and other places in the world where the actual rails of liquidity have already been built. The ATSs of the world, they're more being built in the U.S., but they've been running for a little while in Asia and other places in the UK. But we're seeing more use cases coming about in that space where it be everybody's the end all be all it's liquidity, but other ways like optionality to get out of a private equity fund, for example. You're locked up 7 to 10 years. Now I can sell via smart contract programmatically, make it faster, quicker, because you're less costly, right? So some of that is coming our way in full steam, shall we say? Yeah.
Oh, I agree 100%. And we have a strong presence in Asia, and we saw it for years that they were pushing ahead on this. So we're happy to support it. And I think, whether it's real estate that you tokenize or whether it's everyday commodities, there's no reason we don't tokenize these assets. What we want to do is be the infrastructure in the background running and making this happen. And Ethereum so far is a leader in the space to be able to run that smart contract. So very exciting. Very exciting
times, for sure.
Yeah. Anything else you're looking forward to the next couple of years around the staking industry?
I'm going to go back to my point. I just love the fact that before it was TradFi versus crypto. Now it seems like TradFi has opened up and said, wait, we can make money here. We can help our user base, and we can customize and execute on these contracts faster. And the fact that we get to be a part of that, I mean, if you're not getting up in the morning, just jumping out of bed, excited to work, you're in the wrong industry. Because every day it seems like if you're not listening to a podcast like this, or you're reading an article, or you're on X, you're missing out because something happens every day. I mean, remember when we looked back and Vanguard had said, you know what, we never want to offer digital assets. That's not something we want to do. And I don't know the exact number, so I'm not going to quote it, but they had a massive exit of customer funds leave because they didn't have that option. And it was a big mistake. And I think their CEO actually got replaced. So the fact that retirement, investment firms, and funds are jumping in, maybe not 100%, but they're jumping in to be able to offer this. Jamie Dimon, for the longest time, thought, I don't think so. But yet we all know that JP Morgan Chase owns one of the biggest crypto companies in the world. And now they're offering stable coins. Now they're offering certain ways to tokenize things. So I'm really excited.
Yeah.
My favorite event of the year, which I think we've been together with, is the Digital Asset Summit in London by the Blockworks team. I love that event. I'm going to SALT here in a couple of days in Wyoming.
Be fun.
Those are your institutional leaders, and they're jumping in. They want to learn more. They want to understand this. So the fact that that's where we are today, I'm going to keep going back and jump on my soapbox and say, quite frankly, it's ours not to screw up. Let's keep our standards high and make sure we represent at the highest way and the highest form. My baseball coach used to say, character is revealed when no one's watching. And no one's been watching, and we kind of did things that weren't exactly up to par. Now the eyes are on us, and now we have to hold ourselves to a high level.
Cool. What are you excited about personally, Parker? We're rounding out the summer here.
I'm really
Anything big
excited.
coming up?
My nephews and nieces are going to come visit me. So I'm really excited to swim in the lake and just see my family, because at the end of the day, I think we all love this industry, but it's not, how much money we make. It's what kind of impact we do in the world. And I truly believe that we're making an impact on not only just individuals, but families to be able to send money. So the fact that we can go to these places and volunteer and see them being able to send money to relatives, send money to brothers and sisters, and do things like this. And there's this kind of idea, are we going to do top down or bottom up? Jefferson versus Hamilton, stealing this again from my friend Lorian. And I think the idea that we're going to, bring people a little bit more together financially, and there's not going to be that wealth gap, is pretty exciting to me.
Yeah, no, that's the impact. I love that what you just said there. That's great, because it's definitely the space everybody's passionate. I feel like, and then like you said, between TradFi and crypto, the line is definitely blurring fast. I've never seen a market in my career move this fast in innovation and technology and people coming together this fast just to solve a common goal, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. Like I said, I get excited, but I am optimistic individual. So
that's great.
It's easy.
Yeah. No, it's I think once you're in the industry, there's no going back. You can't go to TradFi. But anyway, TradFi is coming to us. It's working out.
Exactly. And just to volley it back over to your guys' side, what are you guys most excited about? What is it that you are just can't wait to see happen or come to fruition?
Yeah. Crypto wise, I think we're kind of setting up for a bull market here. I mean, we've been in it kind of for the last couple of weeks, especially with Ethereum. So I'm looking forward to seeing Ethereum hopefully maybe break its all-time highs here, and hopefully it doesn't pull a Solana, just drop down. Hopefully we see the all run. Bitcoin dominance is dropping, so I'm looking forward to that. And then personally, looking forward to going to the lake house. I got some friends coming over, doing some fantasy football stuff.
Nice. Who you drafting number one?
We'll see. Jabbar Chase, if I get it, probably.
I like it.
Oh, yeah. So obviously on the crypto front, I think we're all excited about potential altcoin, season here. We'll see with Ethereum's breakout. Hopefully that continues. And just the ecosystem too. I'm very excited and passionate about kind of where things are going. And if anybody is in a boring job, come to this side of the fence in crypto and digital assets, you won't be bored, because things happen so fast to a point, Parker. And it's fun to see, just especially if you've been there for a long time, and seeing just what it used to be and where it's gone to. It's still a small nascent asset class, but it's growing fast, and it's all that everybody can talk about on both sides of the fence, TradFi and digital assets. So that's kind of those are the types of things I'm talking about, even whether it be tokenization or even AI tied to DeFi and crypto. All of these things are kind of coming together, which is kind of fun to see.
I love it. Onboarding the next billion users is what we're all about.
Yeah. I guess personally,
that's
exciting. Personally, I just obviously school started for my wife and son right now, so everybody's back in school, and but talking about this stuff too. My son's interested, like we talked about earlier, so just kind of get to kind of give him some lay of the land, if you will, on what's happening in the space, and hopefully, to your point, setting up a future generation for getting in this space to add more people building and providing impact going forward.
Yeah, I mean, here at InfStones, we are actively hiring in all roles.
Amazing.
So, and I know a lot of other companies are too. So, young, hungry talent who's eager to learn about this space. I make the joke, if you've been in this industry for a year, you have your MBA and doctorate. That's how fast things move on this side.
So true. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, Parker, this has been a lot of fun, man. Really appreciate joining us. Glad we were able to make this happen. Where can people go to connect with you and learn more about InfStones?
Great question. So my TG is Parker Poor. I was blessed with a good last name, Poor. And then on X, same thing, Parker Poor. And then if you want to take a look at our website, stake some assets. Doesn't matter if it's Ethereum or Atom or Avalanche. We support 100 different protocols. And if there's a protocol there that you don't see, ping me and say, Parker, I want this uploaded, and we can do it in about a week and a half. And I challenge you to push us to do that, because I really like when someone challenges our tech side.
I love that. That's great. Well, this has been a fun conversation, Parker. I'll make sure to include all your contact info in the show notes. This has been great.